Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. So, in this session, I'm here with the introduction to Ansys meshing and design modeler. So, we'll try to design a simple model. As you could see, it's a rectangular a plate with hole, and we'll try to mesh this model with few fillets on the surfaces. Let's get started with this. Yeah, so this is the workbench. You can just choose the static structural and you can simply drag up into the workbench. If you want, you can rename the study or else you can keep it like this. Simply right click on the geometry and you'll have the option to import geometry. At the moment, I'll import it. So this is the model. So once you do that, you simply right click on it or double click on it to edit this. Now I need to just mesh this model. So I'll just simply double click on it or else right click and edit. Okay, these are the two ways to access this particular design modeler workbench. So if you want to make the changes into the model, you just need to edit the geometry and make the changes, or if you want to recreate the model, you can do it there. Yeah, so this is the design modeler workbench. Now the wireframe is active. Let me just change the unit system, go to units and change it to and this is the wireframe. Just turn it off. You'll get the whole model. Okay, for preview. And now we have the mesh here. In this option, the element order is program control. We have the linear and quadratic. Right now I'll keep it as program control. The size function, very important. So there are multiple. So right now I'll deal with the adaptive, the first one. Let's see how it's gonna work. Okay, so if we use this adaptive method, this is the one, so which is the course mesh, we can say. So we'll try to change the size function to uniform and let's see. I'm just trying the default things. Okay, so uniform, everywhere it will take the same mesh. Okay, so this is also fine. And now I'll try with the proximity. So how it works, we'll see. So you can even change the growth rate, but here I'm just trying the default one. I'm not going to change it at the moment. So with respect to proximity as a size function, we'll get this mesh, so which is more refined at the fillet regions. Okay, as you could see, so the location where it has the division centers and all, there it will try to refine more and more. So now the curvature one. So once you use the curvature based mesh, so again it will try to mesh your model a more better manner in the curvature regions. Okay, so next thing is the best one is to deal with the proximity and curvature. Remember, wherever it is required, at that location only you try to use these all the size functions, not everywhere. Okay, so sometimes the mesh will be over refined or sometimes it will be more coarse. So the proximity and curvature, here it is fine, so we can proceed with this, but I'll showcase few more things here. So this is by default methods, right? So if you want to customize your mesh according to your requirement by using the manual sizing things, so we have the mesh controls and the mesh edit options. Okay, so here let me just switch to the uniform. I'll keep it like this. The growth rate, I'll change it to 1.2, and in the mesh control you can use the sizing and refinement and other options. Right now I'll try to use the sizing. So here I'll select the faces. So the shortcut is you can simply select everything and just uncheck which and all the surfaces you don't want, or else hold the control, select the faces which only you're looking for. These are the two ways to just define your selection. Yep, once the refinement is done, simply select apply the geometry, and here the size you can define. So let me take it codes. So 1 mm, yeah, will be fine. And once we generate the mesh, we'll see how it's gonna look like. So I'm using the size function as uniform. You could see this is quite refined compared to the uniform which we had used before by default one. So same thing, you can even try with the proximity and curvature, and simply curvature method to just see how exactly it's gonna refine the mesh. Let me just do the same thing. So this time it is uniform, and we had applied the size function and the sizing, the mesh sizing. So here I'll change the size to 0.25 mm, the coarse one, sorry, the fine one, and the size function I'll keep it curvature. And now if I use the proximity and curvature, it will be more refined, so I'll better go ahead with the curvature. Let's see how it's gonna like give the mesh. So depending upon the mesh refinement, the as the mesh is finer, the time lapse to create the particular mesh will also increase. Remember that. And if you want to solve this particular model with the refined mesh, it will also take more time. So if it is required, go ahead with the finer, or else depending upon the convergency, you try to refine the mesh. So I always suggest better go with the curvature based, and then proximity and curvature, and then if that two are working fine, you can proceed further with convergency, or else you can just refine with respect to curvature as well as proximity, curvature based mesh using the mesh controls, refinements and all. And then you can just check the convergence according to these meshes, and you can finalize your results according to the mesh which you have taken. So this is what we do follow, and we recommend you to follow the same thing. But always try to run the rough analysis by using the default mesh nearer to the course one. So you can see this is the mesh, curvature based mesh. The face which we have selected for the mesh refinement is completely refined, right? The mesh sizes are very fine at that location, that is 0.25. Now let's see how we need to create the model using the design modeler. Simply right click on the geometry. As I said before, use this option. We have the space claim and we have the design modeler. I prefer design modeler. Space claim is also quite advanced one. If you want, you can even work on it. So let's try with this one. So here I'll just go ahead with the XY plane, YZ, and these are the default planes. Okay, if you want to create the new plane, we have this option, new plane. So here it will ask you the reference, it is XY, along this transition along offset Z. I'll take it. Okay, so I want to have it along the Z direction. You can mention the value. So 20, sorry, it is 20 meter. Okay, you can see the location. No, the new one is exactly 20 meter out from this. Now if you want to sketch on this, you can select the required plane. On this you can use the preview option. Now we have the sketch mode activated, and I need the rectangle here. Select it and just refer the origin and draw it accordingly. So like this. So once you're done with this, you can even like use the drop down arrow mark to select the circle. I need the circular hole at the center. So I'll go ahead with this circle tool, and exactly at the center I'll draw it. To define the dimension, you can go with the dimension in general. You can select the edges, so automatically it will assign the namings, the variables p1, h2, d, and to define the center distance, it won't snap it again, so you need to select the center point of the diameter first, and then you need to select the edge. So I'll redo the same thing. Okay, you will get the snap point and define it like this. Same thing from here to this edge. Once you define everything, every variable, you can come here and you can change it into the dimensions, so according to the requirement. So the once you click on the dimension variable, it will highlight in the graphics area, as you could see. So I'll take it 12.5 as I'm going to consider the height as 25. So it is asking this one, it is 25 and this is 25. Okay, so once you are done with this, you can switch to modeling, or you can simply use the top tabs to deal with the extrude. So I want to extrude it. Select it, just select the sketch as default, and thickness is, I'll assign it as 20 mm I want, so you can just use the conversion, that is 0.02 meter. Generate it and you'll get it. Okay, so this is how you can just create these simple models using the design modeler. If you want to change the unit system, you can go to unit stops down, and from here millimeters, you could see 20 meter is the thickness. Okay, kind of sheet I had taken into account. So like this, you can use this design modeler workbench using the Ansys, and you can try to create this kind of simple models. Okay, yep, so that's all about the session. So here we had seen the different types of meshing options and where we need to implement them, and dealing with the design model to create the simple models. I hope you got it. Yep, that's all. Thank you. Stay tuned. Bye everyone.